Hello, it's a beautiful day. In my previous video, I said I was going to give you a memory trick or an easier way to remember our electrolyte imbalances, the signs and symptoms. So let's start with the calemias, that's with potassium. Usually the calemias, signs and symptoms of the calemias go in the same direction with their prefix. The prefix here is talking about the hypo or the hyper. So hypokalemia means that any sign and symptom that happen with a person with hypokalemia is going to be lower than normal. It's going to be something that is lower than normal. And then anything that is happening with someone with hyperkalemia is going to be higher than normal. So hyper, high. Signs and symptoms will also go high. Hypo, low. Signs and symptoms will also go low. That is with potassium, the kalemias. Except heart rate and what? Urine output. Remember that. Except heart rate and urine output. So for instance, someone with hypokalemia, that is low potassium, let's see whether the signs and symptoms are going low. So we have paralytic ileus is what? Paralyzed. Ileus is paralyzed, it's low. We have muscle flaccidity, muscles have become flaccid, is low. We have constipation, peristalsis is low. Toilet is not going out, low. We have hyporeflexia, reflexes is what? Low. Then what about heart rate? We have tachycardia, which is high or increased heart rate. Then urine output is what? High. Then we have polyuria, that is with hypokalemia. You realize that everything is low except heart rate and then urine output. Now hyperkalemia. Hyperkalemia, there can be seizures, that is increased brain activities. There will be irritability, there will be diarrhea, high, peristalsis is high, or borborygmi, that is that crying we hear in our stomach, it is going to be high. There will be heart rate low, bradycardia, urine output low, oliguria. The muscles will be spastic, spasm can muscle tone will increase, and then there's going to be hyperreflexia. ST segment will be elevated. That is with the kalemias. Now, what about the calcemias? That is calcium. Calcium or the calcemias go in the opposite direction with their signs and symptoms. So hypercalcemia, signs and symptoms will be down. Hypocalcemia, signs and symptoms will be what? Up. Then magnesemia, that is magnesium, also go opposite direction with their prefix. So hypomagnesemia, signs and symptoms will be high. Hypermagnesemia, signs and symptoms will be low because they are going opposite direction with what? Their prefix. So you realize that with hypocalcemia there will be agitation, irritability, high, increased reflexes, seizures, muscle spasms, everything is high. Then hypocalcemia, you also have constipation, you have a reduced or hyporeflexes, there will be lethargy, everything is low. What about sodium? So let's use fluid overload and deficit for sodium. So high sodium hypernatremia is associated with what? Dehydration. When there is dehydration, sodium level, serum sodium level is going to be high. And you realize the signs and symptoms are also, you have signs and symptoms like dry skin, trady pulse, increased heart rate, which are associated with dehydration. Then we have hyponatremia, that's low sodium, is associated with fluid overload. When there is fluid overload, there will be dilutional hyponatremia, low serum sodium. And in this dilutional hyponatremia, you can have something like distended neck veins and then other signs of fluid overload. So in conditions of hyponatremia, fluid is given. In conditions of hypernatremia, fluid is given. Hyponatremia, fluid is what? Restricted.